Hello, beautiful being. In this video, I'm going to be sharing about how to become embodied, which the first step is actually reorienting from how do I look to how do I feel. And in this video, I'm going to break down the 5 biggest blockages to becoming embodied and the 8 ways that we can cultivate embodiment. So you might have heard about embodiment. It's become more of a buzzword in the last several years and wondered, what does that really mean to be embodied, to feel embodied? And so in this video, I'm going to break all of it down. My name is Haley Friend Wilson. Yes, that's my real middle name. It's my grandmother's maiden name. And I am a certified embodiment and somatic sexuality guide, helping people to come home to their bodies and to a more liberated expression of their creativity, sexuality, and vitality. And I'm so excited to share about this video because embodiment has truly changed my life, has helped me find so much more joy, liberation, freedom, pleasure, peace in myself, in my body, in my life. And so these things that I'm about to share are from my 20-year-long journey and investigation and practice and study of embodiment that I'm so passionate about. And as I've gone into this investigation, these are the things that I've discovered that have blocked me from feeling embodied and the things that help me to cultivate being embodied. And I want to start with saying it's important whenever we're wanting to cultivate anything to look at what is blocking that or what is preventing me from experiencing that. Because once we know those things that are blocking it or preventing it, and we can remove those obstacles, then when we begin to practice the things that are cultivating what we want, it allows us to experience the fruits of our labor more rapidly because we don't also have these other things that are blocking that success. And so I'm going to start there with the 5 things that are blocking your embodiment. With number 1, it's going to be very unpopular, but it's true. Blockage number 1 is the overuse of caffeine. I know, not what you wanted to hear. It's not a popular thing to say, but it is so true. What I've really discovered in my own investigation of embodiment is that when we are engaging in daily use of caffeine, which I have done in many phases of my life, it speeds us up and inhibits us from actually experiencing the natural rhythms and cycles of our body. So in order to become more embodied, we want to actually tune in with our natural rhythms and cycles of the time it takes for our body to feel awake, when we actually feel tired and need to rest. And if we're constantly bypassing those signals by drinking caffeine, we're depleting our system, we're depleting our adrenals, we're overstimulating the hormones, we're deregulating our nervous system. And so it's very hard because we live in this high pressured go society, and oftentimes I know for myself have been habituated in the past when I'm starting to feel tired to be like, oh, I need a coffee, or oh, I need a pick me up, instead of actually maybe I need to rest, or maybe I need to just be okay with doing less today. And so when I've made those choices to rest or do less and not go to the caffeine, I find a deeper connection with my body. I find that my body's energy is able to stabilize. I find that I actually end up feeling more energized more of the time instead of depleted because I'm trying to jolt my body into having energy when I actually need to rest. And so this is a nuanced and complex topic. And so I don't want to get too much into it, but I just want to give you enough. This is really about how caffeine affects you and your body. But I will say, I think the daily use of caffeine, where you are habituated to it, where you have to have it in order to feel awake, is not contributing to your experience of embodiment. So when we wake up, we should not expect that the body feels wide awake right when we wake up. That's like asking the body from going to 0 to 60 very quickly. It takes the body a natural amount of time to wake up, and that's okay. And so when we can be okay with taking 45 minutes in the morning to instead actually do something that helps our body wake up naturally, doing some movement, doing some meditation, doing some writing, taking a walk outside, whatever it is to actually just naturally start to wake up our body, usually what I found is that by the time that 45 minutes is over, my body is actually feeling awake and I don't need the caffeine. And so when we can lean on that, then we can begin to flow with the natural rhythms and cycles of our body. But when we've been habituated to caffeine, where we wake up and go straight for the coffee or straight for the black tea or straight for whatever it is, we're not actually giving our body time, and oftentimes are burning a lot of energy earlier in the day. And then that's why we oftentimes will feel tired in the afternoon, and then maybe need to lean on more caffeine, which then puts us more into this cycle of becoming depleted. And so oftentimes what is needed, if that has been you and you've been on the coffee or whatever every day for a long time, is you have to do a caffeine detox. Briefly, it's basically just scaling back, drinking coffee every other day, not every day, then 3 times a week, then twice a week, and eventually doing a month-long detox, taking some adaptogens, some adaptogenic herbs to restore the hormones, to regulate the nervous system, to restore the adrenals, so that then you can start to feel the natural energy of your body. And then when you do incorporate caffeine back in, look for types of caffeine that don't go for that big spike and jolt. So maybe green teas or mate or other kinds of caffeine that is a little bit softer for your system. Maybe coffee is no problem for you, but just scaling back and not using it daily. So every body is different. Everybody's constitution is different. And so really listen to your body and how caffeine affects you and scale it back to not having daily use. Okay, the second way that prevents us from becoming embodied is wearing clothing that is too tight and is too restrictive. Oh, so how many times have you come home from work or whatever, school, and you realize you literally cannot wait to take off your clothes and put on something that is more comfortable? And you realize that your body literally has been silently screaming all day that collar was too tight and you couldn't really breathe. It was pressing on your throat, or that belt was too tight, or those jeans right up in the wrong way, or whatever it is. So this wearing clothing that is too tight, too restrictive, where we don't feel comfortable, where our body feels suffocated. What happens is that actually creates something called parasitic tension. So this term was taught to me by one of my dance teachers, Brad Gardner. Shout out Brad Gardner. And he talked about this term of parasitic tension, which is many different things go into this, which I'll explain. But one of them, it's basically clothing that is causing our body to tense. Because if our body, like if this were really, really tight, then my body's having to kind of restrict and brace against that tightness. And that tension is actually draining energy from my body. And so we want to actually pick clothing that feels like you're wearing pajamas, but looks good, feels good, and this clothing does exist. So go get yourself some. The third blockage to embodiment is, let me look. What is it? Sitting. Okay, this is part of parasitic tension. Sitting or standing or walking in ways that actually create tension in our body. So these habits of how we exist or move or sit in our body are usually unconscious and can take some time to become conscious of, but it is worth your while. Because what I noticed, for instance, in my own journey when I began to become more embodied, I noticed, for instance, every time I was standing at the sink to do dishes, I was kind of curling my toes and standing in this weird way that was not balanced on my feet. You know, on your feet, you want to be balanced on the four points of your foot. You want those to be evenly balanced on the ground. And so I noticed that my toes were curling, and I was standing in this like very funny way that was not balanced, which was causing all other kinds of tensions higher up into my legs and hips and back. And it took me quite some time to repattern this, to become conscious of it, and to spread my toes, spread my feet, I also noticed that when I was sitting, I would oftentimes sit it with like my legs super crossed and tight, which created tension in my hips and that in my whole pelvic region. And so beginning to become conscious of how you're sitting, how you're standing, how you're walking, and if the way that you are existing in your body is actually creating tension. Again, that parasitic tension, which is that low level tension that might be happening in your body that you're not consciously aware of, but that tension is actually robbing your energy. It's robbing your life force energy, because every day we have a certain amount of energy and there's different things that expend that energy. And so when we can become conscious of that and not expend our energy, by sitting or standing in ways that are not good for us, and instead can expend that energy exercising or with the ones we love or painting or drawing or singing or whatever it is we want to do, that we're going to experience more life satisfaction. So although it takes some time to repattern this, it is worth the effort. I can speak directly because now I have so much more energy to exist and live my life and do the things that I want to do. And I just feel more at home in my body. So the fourth blockage to becoming embodied is actually overthinking. It's overthinking. So this is very common because the brain likes to think, the brain likes to judge, it likes to evaluate, it likes to analyze, likes to worry, likes to plan, likes to fantasize, likes to daydream. So our mind is very active. It's part of the nature of mind. And so a part of becoming embodied is actually to learn to quiet the mind and learn to turn the awareness inward. I'll speak more about that when I go into cultivating embodiment. But the first step is just knowing that we're overthinking all the time. That's going to block our ability to become embodied, because we want to start to learn to drop our consciousness into the body and out of the thoughts of the mind. The fifth and final block to becoming embodied is always having an outward focus. What this means is basically whenever you have a spare moment, you go straight for the phone or TV or news or checking in with another person outside of you. So we want to, when we are wanting to become embodied, we want to begin to take those moments when we have a little pause in our day and actually tune in with our body. Tuning in with the needs of our body. For instance, are we hungry? Are we thirsty? Do we need to go to the bathroom? So how many times have you had the experience where all of a sudden you stand up or you realize you really have to go to the bathroom like right now? So your body was most likely communicating to you way before that point in time that you needed to use the bathroom, but we become so habituated in having this external focus and outward focus on everything else, work, what we're doing, other people, society, social media, that we are not listening to the subtle sensations of our body until our body is screaming, I need to use the bathroom, or I'm so hungry, or I'm so thirsty. And so when we can begin to retrain ourselves, instead of always having an outer focus, when we have a moment of pause between work or between tasks or between caring for our children or whatever it is, when we can take a breath and tune in with our body and reorient our consciousness inward, that is what we want to do to begin to cultivate embodiment. So I'll talk about that more in cultivating embodiment. So to recap, the 5 blockages are: number 1, overuse of caffeine; number 2, tight and restrictive clothing; number 3, sitting, standing, and walking in ways that create tension in the body; number 4, overthinking; and number 5, consistently having an outward and external focus. So how do we cultivate embodiment? How do we bring in that experience of feeling at home in the body, feeling good, feeling peaceful, feeling just genuine, authentic, feeling not only embodiment isn't, I just want to say, embodiment isn't about only feeling peaceful. It's actually about feeling connected. So connected to our pain, connected to our sadness, connected to our pleasure, connected to our joy, connected to our irritation, connected to our peacefulness. It's being connected, because when we are connected, we can feel more alive. And so the first step to cultivating embodiment is meditation. So doing some kind of meditation practice to begin to train the awareness to turn inward. So this can be a walking meditation, sitting meditation, guided meditation, anything that's helping you basically train your mind's ability, like we were talking about, to turn your awareness inward. Because eventually we want to start to track the sensations of the body and understand how to bring that awareness in a more subtle, fine-tuned way into actually the voice of the body, because our body will speak to us if we know how to listen. But the first step is actually to train the mind, quiet the mind, and begin to practice some kind of meditation. The second step to cultivating embodiment is breath. So I'll take a deep breath. One more time. Inhale. And exhale with a sigh. This is actually my favorite breathing practice, using the ah breath. Let's do that a few more times. Inhale. One more time. So the ah, using the ah breath, actually stimulates the vagus nerve. That is the nerve that runs between our brain, our gut, and all the way down into our pelvic bowl. So when we stimulate this nerve, it regulates our nervous system. And so using a sound, ah, that vibration, the vibration of that sound stimulates the vagus nerve and helps us to go to switch into a parasympathetic state within our nervous system. So that is a really quick way to feel our body, to feel our breath. We want to cultivate breath because this is basically our life force energy in our body. And oftentimes I notice this is a great signal for how embodied am I in this moment, is how deeply am I breathing. Oftentimes I notice if I've been overthinking, or if I'm hyper focused on something outside of myself, or scrolling or doing something that I'm disconnecting from my body, I'm usually breathing very shallowly or hardly at all. So beginning to track the depth of your breath, the rhythm of your breath, and as much as you can throughout the day, returning to a deep and full breath is a really crucial part of becoming embodied. The third step to becoming embodied is rest. Rest, rest, rest. We are existing in a culture of so much stimulation, overstimulation, and our body is in so much need for rest, rejuvenation, because we are bombarded with so much stimulus every single day, and there's a lot of different demands in our world. And so it's important to rest and to notice when you constantly bypass your body's needs for rest. For instance, going for the caffeine whenever you feel tired, or constantly pushing yourself to stay up really late, burning the candle at both ends. So this is going to keep you from feeling embodied, because you're basically fighting against the natural rhythms of your body. And so when you can bake in even small moments of rest, and maybe it's just 15 minutes in the afternoon where you can sit and do some deep breathing, or lie down and do some deep breathing. For me, this is huge when I'm feeling those days where maybe I have a lot to do that day, but I'm feeling really tired, I'll take 20 minutes, I'll put on my timer, I'll lay down and I'll do some deep breathing, and then I'll go back to what I was doing. And so any ways that you can just bake in more rest, going to bed before 10 p.m. There's a lot of science around that and how our organs restore during these crucial hours of the night before 12 p.m. So as much as you can get to sleep earlier, the better, to let your body restore and let your body rest. The fourth step to cultivating embodiment is physical exercise that is a solo practice and that is almost a way that you can meditate in your body. So I love sports. I grew up playing soccer, ultimate frisbee. I love playing sports, but there is, in terms of embodiment, there is a lot of the focus that is going on externally, on the ball, on the other players, on the objective. And so it's not necessarily, although it's good for your body, exercise is good for your body, it's not necessarily a practice that is helping you cultivate a deeper embodied state of connection. So solo exercise practices where you can meditate in the body would be things like martial arts practices, Tai Chi, Qigong, yoga, different kinds of somatic dance, so or movement, Feldenkrais, gyrokinesis, continuum, 5 rhythms. My personal favorite, which is the deep body model, which is the model that I am trained in, which is a very amazing form of basically guiding people into their bodies and opening up the different levels and layers of body: the physical body, mental body, emotional body, sensual body, expressive body, and the deepest part of our body, which is the archetypal and ancestral earth body, which is the part of our body that is connected to the earth, to the ancestors, to our the animals that we feel connected to. And so I love guiding people in deep body journeys. If that's something that's called to you, you can find a link below. I would be happy to guide you in that experience of really deepening in your ability to listen to your body, allow your body to guide you and move you and express freely. So any kind of practice physically that is dropping your consciousness into your body is very important for cultivating embodiment. The fifth practice for cultivating embodiment is something called a body scan. So this is where you are scanning your consciousness through your body and just noticing how your body feels without changing it. So the way that you can practice this is by laying down on the floor in a constructive rest position. So the legs and the arms are just spread out naturally from the body. And you're going to tense and squeeze your whole body, squeeze every muscle in your body, squeeze, and hold it for about 20 seconds. And then release and let your body fully relax. And do that 2 more times where you squeeze every muscle in your body, fully relax. And so what that is doing is helping to just get rid of the parasitic tension that's in your body so that you can start to tune in on a deeper level. After you've done that, begin to scan your awareness through your body, starting at your feet and noticing any areas of heat, cold, numbness, constriction, openness, tingling, pain, pleasure. Just really scanning through your body and seeing if you can track the sensations that are existing within your body. This is really important because we need to first begin to become conscious and aware of the sensations of our body so that then we can understand how to actually work with those sensations, how to maybe shift or change those sensations if we're experiencing pain or numbness or shutdown, using breath, sound, movement, visualization, earth body connection, and different kinds of somatic tools to actually shift those sensations. and also then being able to go deeper and listen to the voice of our body. What is our body actually trying to communicate? Because our body communicates through sensation. And so the first step is actually to just become aware of what are the sensations in the body, so that then we can begin to go deeper with different kinds of somatic practices. The sixth step to becoming embodied is having that inward focus. So I just touched on that a little bit, but going even deeper and beginning to track throughout your day, how am I feeling physically? Noticing when you're feeling focused, when you're feeling energized, when you're feeling depleted, when you're feeling tired, when you're feeling sexual, when you're feeling social, when you're feeling more solitary, more inward. And so noticing how you're feeling, where your energy's at, so you can start to actually track those natural rhythms of your body. For instance, some people are more morning people, some people are more night people. Starting to track, like, how do I feel? Some people, their best hours to do work, focused work, are early in the day. Some people it's later in the day, so that you can stop kind of fighting your natural rhythms and go with how your body actually is wanting to exist. So just starting to track on that level. And then on the emotional level, beginning to track, how am I feeling today? What's my emotional landscape? Am I feeling sad? Am I feeling happy? Am I feeling angry? Am I feeling neutral? Am I feeling disconnected? Am I feeling depressed? So noticing how you're feeling on that emotional level. And again, part of that inward focus is noticing my body's needs for food, for hydration, for sleep, for different ways that my body might want to experience stimulation, sexual stimulation, creative stimulation. So tracking that, having that inward focus and becoming self-referential, which leads me to the seventh step to becoming embodied, which is nutrition and hydration. So the first step here is actually to just notice, when am I hungry? When am I thirsty? And to then begin to meet those needs as quickly as possible, not always pushing off our body's need for food or for hydration. The third step is actually to notice how those foods affect your body. And so this can be a little bit tricky, because what I learned in my health coaching certification is that it can take sometimes up to 3 days before our body shows a negative effect from something that we've eaten. And so you're not always going to feel it right away, but generally you can kind of know, like, what I just ate, that really didn't sit right, or I felt really tired afterwards. And so this, for many people, and I know for myself, in order to actually really tune in on how different foods affected me, I needed to do an elimination diet, which very simply is basically just stripping down to eating a very, very simple diet. It basically consists of protein and vegetables, and I think some fruits and some nuts and seeds, if I remember correctly. You can look it up, but basically you're eating super simple for a month or 2 months, and then you start to add in eggs. You start to add those things back in that people can be prone to have an allergy to or to be sensitive to. So starting to add in gluten. And this is actually how I discovered that I had a peanut butter sensitivity, a gluten sensitivity, and a tofu sensitivity. So these things do not make me die. I'm not celiac or anything, but I feel a major drop in my energy when I eat them. And it was through doing the elimination diet that I discovered that. And so after you've done an elimination diet, and then you can start to add these foods back in, it's easier to see, okay, what foods affect me in a way that make me feel good, that make me feel energized, and what foods deplete my energy and don't make me feel good in my body. And I actually recommend doing once a year, just doing a 1 week long detox, like a juice detox or some kind of detox to cleanse the body. There's so much pollutants now in the air, in the water, and everything. And so doing something to cleanse your body, and that's going to help you keep the ability to listen to what kinds of foods and beverages are serving you and what kinds of foods and beverages are actually depleting your energy. So learning to incorporate something called intuitive eating. Intuitive eating has changed my life. It took me some time to be able to really listen to what foods are good for me, what foods am I craving that are good. And so it can take some time and doing an elimination diet or doing some cleansing to get to a point where you can listen to your body in that way, but it is well worth it because every single body is different depending on your age, your ethnicity, um, your gender. All of these things impact what is the right way for you to eat. And so that's why I'm a huge proponent of intuitive eating, because there is no one size fits all diet that is good for everyone. It's really about just learning to tune into what works for your body right now. And that might change 10 years from now. So it's just cultivating this intelligence, this basically embodied intelligence of how is this food impacting me? What is my body craving? Listening to that and being in a dialogue with your body around what you're eating and what works best for you. The eighth and final step to becoming embodied is, how does this environment impact my body? How does this person, how does this space, this place impact my body? So this is when we begin to tune into, okay, when I go into this office environment or this person's house or wherever it is, I notice that my body starts to feel closed, starts to feel contracted and constricted. Or does my body feel open? My body feels energized. My body feels inspired. So noticing how these places impact your body and the sensations of your body. And then noticing the same with people. When I'm with this person, am I noticing that I'm actually kind of pulling away and withdrawing and my body feels kind of shut down? Or do I feel open? Do I feel expanded? Do I feel excited? Do I feel energized? So noticing how your body is communicating to you about the people and the places in your life and how those things are actually impacting you. So to recap, the 8 ways to cultivate embodiment. Number 1, meditation. Number 2, breath. Number 3, learning to rest. Number 4, some kind of physical exercise that allows you to almost meditate in the body. Number 5, practicing the body scan. Number 6, cultivating an inward focus, tracking your energy level, tracking your emotions, tracking your body's needs. Number 7, noticing food, hydration, how that's impacting you. And number 8, noticing environment, people, places, spaces, and how that impacts your body. I hope that you have gotten something valuable from this video. And I just want to say, this is not about perfection. We are all human. And I'm the first to say there are moments where I am going to eat the cake and drink the latte because I want to, and I understand that my body's not going to feel great afterwards, but then I can boost up and do some more embodiment practice to come back to a good feeling in my body. So this is not about being perfect, but this is about just beginning to track and cultivate that deeper conversation and relationship with our body, because what I've found is that as I make choices that feel good to my body, those choices become easier, and all of a sudden my body starts to feel more energized, more vital, more alive, and then it's easier to make those choices. And then I feel more vital, more alive, and it becomes this positive feedback loop. And so this has been my experience. Please put a comment below on how this landed for you, any questions you might have, anything that you've discovered in your own journey of becoming embodied. And thank you again so much for being here. I want to acknowledge that I am recording this video on the land, the indigenous land of the Mexica and Nayua people. And I'm so grateful to be able to be here on this land. I want to give honor to these ancestors and to thank you again so much for watching this video. If you liked it, like, subscribe. It really helps me as I am wanting to put out more videos and really share everything that I've learned in the journey of embodiment, sexuality, creativity, and vitality. So wishing you a really, really beautiful rest of your day.